What is up, my beautiful children? I am back. Your fantasy football dad is back. We are 1 week away. Can you believe it? 7 days from now, we will be getting ready. The Dallas Cowboys versus the Philadelphia Eagles. Micah Parsons is no longer a Cowboy, which means that offense is going to have to put up 45 points a game to win. So that means Dak's going to have to air it out. There'll be a lot of interceptions, that's for sure. But there'll be a lot of touchdowns. So suddenly, Dallas looked like a very exciting offense to begin with. And now their defense gets weaker, which means Dallas is even better fantasy football offense to target. So, Micah Parsons leaving does not really help their D. They did get Kenny Clark back, but he's a defensive tackle, so maybe their run defense gets a little bit better, but yeah, they're not really going to be rushing the quarterback, that's for sure. So, I'm surprised. I really thought he would probably re-sign for sure. One of those things that maybe Thursday morning we get that Adam Schefter tweet that Micah Parsons has signed and ready to play, but no, he's gone to the Packers, and now suddenly Green Bay is looking like a legit contender in the NFC. Think about it. They already have a decent enough offense, but now their defense just got a lot better. So that only helps their situation. And I guess you got to be competitive in that division because all four teams can potentially be playoff teams. Like there's no, even with Chicago getting Ben Johnson and getting some upgrades in their offense, you still have four teams in that division that are very tight, and any one of them could be, any one of them could win the division, and also any one of them could be the one seed, right? Like we saw last year where it was Minnesota and Detroit fighting for that number one seed. So either you're number one or you're number 5. So very interesting outcome with that trade. Didn't think that was going to happen, but like I said, if you want any fantasy football out of it, you're probably going to have possibly a really very, very friendly offense when it comes to Dallas, because they're going to have to throw a bit to catch up. They're going to have to throw a lot to keep pace with other teams because their defense is probably not as good. But then, if Green Bay has gotten better, in a sense, then maybe that's more Josh Jacobs games, right, where they're putting up points and their defense is keeping them, the other team from scoring, and now you have Josh Jacobs closing out games, and they're just controlling the clock. So, yeah, interesting dynamic. We'll see what that leads to. But yeah, the trade wins continue in the NFL, especially with one of the top pass rushers, top defensive players in the league with Micah Parsons now that he's gone. So, like what I said, it was like I was saying before, 7 days left. We are almost at the end of the best ball draft season. As soon as that first game starts up on Thursday, we are done, and we sit back and we either curse, or there's going to be a lot of range of emotions as we watch our best ball teams go out throughout the season. There will be happiness, there'll be sadness, there'll be frustration, there'll be disappointment, there's going to be tears, there's going to be smiles, but at the end of it, I think I hope everyone that listens in does well, and I wish everyone always the best of luck when it comes to their best ball teams. So with that, let's get started. We are going to draft a couple of teams today. I'm going to start off with the puppy. Let's start off with one of the puppies, just kind of get warmed up here. The $5 puppy is still about half full, I believe. Let's see where we're at right now with this tournament. It's only 41% filled. I think as we get closer and closer, I think this weekend's really going to pump it up. But yeah, it's going to be September 4, so it's we're going to pretty close in getting to the 100%, but yeah, it's still 41% filled, right? So still a lot of slots left on this one. So even this one closes a couple hours before the game, right? So if you look at it, it closes at 4:11 Mountain Time, which is my time, but the start time is not till 6. So if you're planning on waiting until the last minute, that's not going to happen. Make sure you draft before 4 p.m. Mountain Time. So we are ready to draft, and we are in the 4th slot for this one. So a little bit of change when you look at the ADP. CeeDee Lamb has really gone up. He was about the 4th pick. Saquon Barkley drops all the way down to about 5th in ADP. And that's kind of elevated Jahmyr Gibbs into that 4 spot. So yeah, interesting to see that Saquon's been falling, right? He was like the consensus, like number 1 and 2. So yeah, it's just going to be a little bit. Sorry, a little bit of a technical difficulty there, but we're back. So yeah, Saquon drops from originally being number 2, and sorry, I hope this draft is okay here on my screen. Yeah, we're okay. So yeah, quite dropping. No news. He's been fine. No health concerns. Possibly a lot of discussion about workload concerns, and all this discussion about whether or not he's going to be able to put up the same type of season. I don't expect the same type of season, but all these reports in the offseason have been about whether or not he can stay healthy after enduring quite a few touches last year. So yeah, we'll see what happens. But he's still in a great situation. The Eagles will be a great team, and if anything, a little bit less tush pushes go his way and he's scoring, he'll have even a better season than last year. So yeah, I think he can easily be still number 2 or 3 in the ADP. Okay, so the draft is going on. Let's follow along here. I took CeeDee Lamb. I was just, when I started the show, just talked about Dallas, and so I'm going to try to make this a Dallas team. Trying to get onto that concept that their defense is now weaker, and they're going to have to be pass heavy to stay with their teams. So I feel like their offense is going to be very concentrated, and yeah, I think they're going to be this year's version of the Bengals when you got CeeDee Lamb and George Pickens, or your Chase and T. Higgins, and then you got Dak Prescott, who is probably half of what Joe Burrow is. I'm not really a big fan of Dak Prescott, but at the same time, if he's going to have to throw, he's going to put up some stats, but mostly 3 touchdowns, 3 interceptions is what you're going to probably get with Dak Prescott, but you'll take it. Let's just take a quick look here. The draft here, McCaffrey goes at number 6. Then Nico Collins, the first wide receiver after him. And then you have Jefferson, Amon-Ra, Brian Thomas, Neighbors, Nakua, Derrick Henry, Drake London, Chase Brown, AJ Brown, and GNT goes number 17. And then Ladd goes at number 18. No major surprises, but GNT falling to the second round. Seen that more and more, middle of the second round. So who do we have available to us? We have a few. Hey, let's do what we gotta do here. Let's do the direct. Let's do the. Let's take Josh Jacobs here. And just kind of going off of what we were talking about, CeeDee Lamb and their offense maybe having to pass more, and then Green Bay being a better, having a better defense, now has the ability to stay and hold the ball and keep their leads. So they'll have Josh Jacobs running the ball. The benefit of Josh Jacobs, again, is unfortunately doesn't really have a proper backup, right? So you don't have to worry about that. I think the concern last year was Marshawn Lloyd's there, got drafted, but that man unfortunately cannot stay healthy. So there's no concern. I think Josh Jacobs is primed for the same type of role he was doing last year, where he'll run until he's tired, and even then they'll probably conserve him for a little bit. But at the same time, I think there's no concerns about Josh Jacobs' workload this year for sure. Let's see what we can get here. Next up, we have either Tyreek or Marion Hampton. And I think I will go with Tyreek Hill. So Tyreek does scare me, like I've talked about before. There's always a concern that he will retire in the third game, in the third quarter of the third game, a la Antonio Brown. But at the same time, apparently he's over his injury. He looks good. They lost a pass catcher that took away a lot of targets last year in Jonnu Smith. Devon Achan's health is a concern, so if he's not if he's hobbled throughout the year because of the calf, which we've seen CMC have to battle all year long, that's just one less additional pass catcher that we have to worry about. And then it's going to be the Tyreek and Jalen Waddle show. So taking Tyreek here, just hoping for that bounce back season. That's all you're hoping for, because technically if he's back to where, and then I think this might be his last year before, I think obviously Miami cuts bait because of age and obviously other concerns, off the field concerns when it comes to Tyreek, who might go straight into coaching because he believes he knows the best players that should be running the ball. But looks like it's going to be back to normal for Miami, but we'll see, right? It all depends on Tua's health, obviously. When he went down with those concussions last year, that offense tanked. So I'm going to do, obviously, what I was talking about from the beginning of the show and the beginning of the draft. I'm going to try to create the Dallas stack, and that's not going to happen because Mount Rushmore decided to take Pickens, that idiot. So now I have a choice of a few other players. I do like Cortland Sutton, but I also like Travion Henderson. I do believe Travion is going to be the man when it comes to this season for the Patriots. So with that, let's take Travion Henderson. I think Ramondre Stevenson will be around for the first few weeks, but I think eventually we're going to see Travion take over and finish off the season as a very high-scoring running back, especially in that Patriots offense. For me, I believe you're not going to be counting on Travion to do a lot the first few weeks, maybe the top half of the season. Like he'll fit in there, he'll get some, I think he'll have a couple, 1 or 2 good games for the first half of the season, but I really think Travion's going to come on in the second half of the season. Ramondre, sometimes injury prone, sometimes fumbling issues come up, so if any one of those two happens, Travion's going to smash. You're only dealing with Antonio Gibson behind you, so there's no concern there. So I really think that he's going to be fine and going to take over on that one. So who do we have next? Let's go all in on the Miami stack here too. Then, if we're gonna do that, let's go Tyreek Hill and Waddle. So we got CeeDee Lamb, Tyreek, and Waddle. This is me raising my hand and saying I am a supporter of the Dolphins offense. I feel like they're gonna come back. So yes, I am planting my flag when it comes to the Miami Dolphins. I do have CD, so I do have a little bit of Dallas exposure. I wasn't able to get Pickens, but let's see if I can make a Dak Prescott to a team, and then maybe add a Ferguson later in the draft. So far I have a build of 2 running backs and 3 wide receivers, I have Josh Jacobs and I have Travion Henderson as my running back so far. And then my wide receivers are CeeDee Lamb, Tyreek Hill, and Jalen Waddle. So, yeah. Either going to pay off, or the Dolphins are so, they're hit or miss, obviously. So if I hit, I am looking good. But if not, then I'm not. So, coming around here for our next one. This draft is just flying. We're at pick 69, and I will do the 69. Little dad there, little, the old man still has, little dad jokes. So what I'm going to try to do is get Debo, just to create that, week 17 stack. So let's see what happens. Olave goes. I have one more, dude I have to get through. Let's see if it happens here. Cole Fantasy decides not to snipe me. Thank you very much, sir. I will take Debo, and I will do that to kind of create the Week 17 Washington-Dallas matchup, which I think will probably be a doozy if everyone's healthy. Now that obviously the concern I have is I have 4 wide receivers so far, and 3 of them have a Week 12 bye, so I cannot take any Week 12 bye players. I'll have to look for some players that offset the buys that I currently have. But so far I have a build of 2 running backs and 4 wide receivers. So this one I will probably try to get another wide receiver if I can. I like Jordan Addison quite a bit. Jaden Reed is okay, but he does scare me quite a bit. That foot injury says it's still hurting, so Jordan Addison goes, so I'll probably the Jacoby Myers goes. No news on Juwan Jennings, still uncertain. So let's take the risk and let's take Juwan Jennings. There's obviously a concern for week 1. Still pretty vague, right? It's just like one of those things, like, is it really his calf or is it contract related? Unfortunately, like that's the risk you have to take sometimes. It's a very high risk, very high reward. We've seen what Juwan Jennings can do when he's featured in the offense, and there's less target competition now in San Francisco. So if he's just playing for a contract and he's not willing to, doesn't want to play because of that reason, and then I think that's something that probably can get figured out this week. But if it's truly a calf issue, that is kind of scary, but it's a risk I've kind of taken here as my wide receiver number 5. Like I said, it's a high risk, high reward kind of team, and I think it kind of fits the team that I have right now. By selecting 2 Miami Dolphin pass catchers, this team is ultimately high risk, high reward. So I've taken the risk with Waddle and Hill. Why not add some Juwan Jennings, right? Like, if I'm gonna take on all that risk, might as well take what's another risky venture, right, in the portfolio. So we are 7 picks away, and we have a team of 2 running backs, Josh Jacobs and Travion Henderson, and then we have 5 wide receivers, CeeDee Lamb, Tyreek, Waddle, Debo, and Juwan Jennings. So I'm going to try to get either a tight end with Hawkinson, or I might have to look at where Dak Prescott's going, and he's at 103, so I think I can probably wait, because the only thing I have to worry about is Mount Rushmore, but he took Joe Burrow naked, obviously, right? This man is clearly planning a crazy stack, but I think I can wait on I don't have any concerns about not getting Dak in my on the ninth round, so I can probably go for either Hawkinson, or I can try to go for another wide receiver, and then get 2 to 6. But I ideally would like Hawkinson if I can get him and get a tight end. but obviously he goes. So we are back to square one. Let's say Krosky Merritt to further build our. Is it early? Yes. Am I a JCM truther? And is it too much? Yes. But I'm gonna try to create the ultimate week 17 game stack, and then I'm trying to add Dak Prescott here. But the JCM, I'm just getting on the JCM hype, right? It's a high risk, high reward team, buddy. Right? Let's get JCM on there. I remember JCM's ADP was 140 like maybe 5 days ago, so it's already shot to 100. I think by the end of this weekend it's going to be at 90 anyways, because that's where Brian Robinson Jr. was going in the drafts. A month ago he was going around pick 90. So is it a reach at today's draft? Yeah, maybe, but a few days from now it's going to be ADP 90 anyway. So I just kind of reached a little bit further than I wanted to, but whatever. Right now, so far, like I said, I want to try and make that game stack. So my next pick will be Dak Prescott. So I'm going to take Dak Prescott here. And so I do have the stack with CD, and I'll try to get Jake Ferguson later on in the draft, and then I'll have 5 players so far from the Dallas-Washington game. And so like the week 17 stacks, like I understand from a game like a best ball process and winning, you obviously want to have that game, but like I said, there's so much variance in football. If for any reason Dak was to go down, this game's not really going to do anything for me. So it's very hard to guess like on which game is going to, like from the preliminary, when you look at it, okay, well this game's going to go off. You might think that in the beginning of the year, but things happen throughout the year. Team doesn't do well, quarterback gets benched or someone gets injured, and then that game that looked very good in week 1, it now at week 17 doesn't look so great, or doesn't do that great. So that's the risk of always taking a game stack on your team, or doing a game stack with your players. But it is what it is. Like I said, this is a high risk, high reward team, and so far we're all in on the Dallas and Washington game in week 17. So Miami does play Tampa Bay, so I can try to possibly see if I can pick up a Tampa Bay a player. Is there anybody available? Chris Godwin is still available, so there's a chance I could try to get him as my 6th wide receiver, and that'll go well with my Miami team as well, and then try to get that last game 17 stack there, so it kind of widen the chances of hitting on that week 17. But obviously Jack F off 32-34 takes him, so we are not going to be able to go down that route. So Ingram goes, and I will now could be looking at a couple of players here, but I think I'm going to go with Njoku. Yeah, so go with David Njoku. Your fantasy football dad's best friend, Joe Flacco, is the quarterback for a few weeks, I think, until Dylan Gabriel takes over eventually. But he's going to target the shit out of Njoku, Judy, and whoever he likes that day. But I think Njoku is one of his guys. He does like targeting the tight end, so I think we're okay. We'll take David Njoku, maybe get a few weeks of good football out of him. So let's see where Ferguson goes. Ferguson goes 136, which is a little bit of a reach for me. I don't know if it makes sense to go that early, but this room is kind of wild. Are there any good wide receivers left? So, not any wide receivers I really want to take at this point. Any good running backs? Ramondre possibly, just to kind of get all the New England points. Javonte, Braylon Allen. No one really exciting, I guess. No one I can't get. Like, I already have like 3 I'm okay with. So, and then Goff, Herbert, Lawrence, Stroud, and I'd kind of want Tua, so I can kind of wait on him. So I don't think I'm giving up too much in value by taking Jake this early. So let's take Jake Ferguson, and now we have a little bit more of a Dallas stack. We have the Dallas Dak Prescott, CeeDee Lamb, and Jake Ferguson to go with our JCM and Deebo Samuel game stack. So we are loaded on there. I think I can try to get maybe a Cade Otton or Rashad White or a Sean Tucker maybe later in the draft to kind of get that Miami Tampa Bay stack, or maybe a Gesicki possibly to kind of maybe get a week 16 game stack to kind of even it out. So we'll wait on that one. So my team right now is a unconventional 1-3-5-2. I took Dak Prescott as my only quarterback so far. I have Josh Jacobs, Travion Henderson, and Jace CM. And then I have CeeDee Lamb, Tyreek, Waddle, Deebo, Juwan Jennings, Njoku, and Jake Ferguson. Juwan Jennings, Deebo, Waddle, Hill, and CeeDee Lamb as my wide receivers, and then David Njoku and Jake Ferguson are my tight ends. So if I want to kind of like, so who does Green Bay plays Baltimore in week 17. I don't know how much of I don't think that's going to be a doozy. I think that may be a tight game, especially Green Bay at home. Could be potential weather concerns that game. So, and then New England plays New York Jets, which is always exciting when you get those two in a week 17 game. And then Cleveland plays Pittsburgh. So not a lot of good games, right? A couple of divisional games there, which usually are pretty tight. So trying to get those in a week 17 is kind of tricky. Let's come around here again now. We have a few picks available to us. We might need to go for a quarterback. Looking for a running back here, and I think I might go. I'm gonna go a little bit early again off the board and try to create the Miami pretty much team stack here and go with Ollie Gordon, and then I plan to take with my next pick. And then I'll have a build of if everything goes to plan. Two will be a nice pick. So I'm pretty much all in on Miami and Dallas. Miami does play Pittsburgh in week 15, Cincinnati in week 16, and Tampa Bay in week 17. So if I can try to get one of those players from somewhere to kind of create that week 16 and week 17, one of those game stacks would be good. So let's take Tua here. And now we have a team of 2 quarterbacks, which consists of Dak Prescott, Tua Tagovailoa, and my running back room is Josh Jacobs, Travion Henderson, JCM, Bill Krosky-Merritt, and then Ollie Gordon. I am all in on the rookie running backs. And then my wide receiver room consists of CeeDee Lamb, Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, Deebo Samuel, Juwan Jennings, and then my tight end room consists of David Njoku and Jake Ferguson. So I'm going to need to kind of get a couple of tight wide receivers in here and try to avoid that week 12 bye. So let's kind of go through and see who we have available to us. We still have Hollywood Brown, who I'm guessing will probably get taken pretty quickly here. We have Kyle Williams, Dante Thorne, who I really like, Xavier Legette, Wendell Robinson, not my favorite target. Thielen, could give me a few good weeks now that he is the starting slot receiver for the Minnesota Vikings. So I think potentially I could go after him. And then I like Jalen Coker a lot as well, who just got announced to be the slot wide receiver for the Carolina Panthers, a role in which he really did well in last year. They must have a lot of faith in him, given that they traded away Thielen. So I think Jalen Coker, with obviously there's Ted McMillan there, so the targets won't be as plentiful as last year, but at the same time, you still have the benefit of being in that Carolina Panthers ascending offense with an ascending quarterback. Hopefully Bryce Young shows that the last few weeks of last year weren't a fluke, and he's able to maintain that consistent play. And if he is, then Jalen Coker right now is a great pick later in the round. So that's someone I'm going to target for later in the draft. So we'll see what happens here. Hollywood Brown's falling for some reason, and I don't know why. So maybe I will go for Hollywood since he's available. Just want to see the quarterbacks that are still available to us. No one to write home about. I don't know if I would go Joe Flacco, but maybe. So Hollywood does go. Kind of thought that was going to happen to us. Let's go with Adam Thielen, old man Thielen. We have a lot. Like I said, fantasy football dad hero Adam Thielen. He is going to be our 6th wide receiver, and we're just going to hopefully bank on maybe the first few weeks of getting some production out of him until Addison comes back. But even then, I think he's going to have that slot role on lock, and I think he's part of that Minnesota offense, which would be good. So he's not going to give me a lot of spike weeks, but maybe enough to maybe manage if I need that, that week 10 or week 12. Where I might need him, that hopefully he can stay healthy for that long. So Jalen Coker goes. So yeah, one of my picks I wanted to kind of get later in the draft, not gonna happen. Let's take Cade Otton as that Tampa Bay player I was talking about. So we've taken Cade Otton to kind of help with that Miami Tampa Bay stack. So we have a little bit of a game 17 stack now, with including Cade Otton, and I don't think is a bad pick until obviously hopefully he's healthy, right? I think he's some issues right now, but they're saying Godwin won't be back till week 5, and even then, like, there might be a little bit of a ramp up period. So you might get some potential good games out of Cade. And so he's shown that if there's an injury to one of the pass catchers, he can step in as as a number 2, number 3 option. And right now, he probably will be a number 3 option on that team. So I think he's fine. And then they really give him all the snaps when he is playing and he's healthy. So yeah, he should be fine. I was looking at Zach Ertz, but I think I just took Cade on for that game stack, so I'm just chasing that game. That's all I'm doing right now. We are up here pretty quick. Still need another running back. I still need another wide receiver. So I think for wide receiver, I'm trying to figure out whether or not to go with Alec Imanor or Troy Franklin. Imanor is not there, so I will maybe take Troy Franklin. I think. Actually, let's take Yoshivas. I don't think he's a bad pick for me. I think he is the slot wide receiver, the 3rd wide receiver on that team. If anything happens to any of the, the top 2 with Higgins, who isn't really a model of health, or Chase, and Yoshivas has a bigger role. And that kind of helps with the game stack of the week 16 for Miami. So at that point, I don't think there's much difference between him and Troy Franklin, to be honest. So I think we're okay on that one. Any quarterbacks left? There's Daniel Jones. Nothing to write home about. I could try to create the Aaron Rodgers Cleveland stack. Like I said, if there's anybody else available, anybody out there? Let's take Taj Brooks, actually. I need another running back, so let's get a little more of the Cincinnati Bengals. So this is really just banking on any of the Bengals go down for the injury. I love taking Taj Brooks. I think for that reason, that if somebody was to go down, especially Chase Brown was to go down, then Taj Brooks can step into that role. So I have a team right now of 2 quarterbacks: Dak Prescott, Tua Tagovailoa. My running back room is pretty much set. It's Josh Jacobs, Travion Henderson, JCM, Bill Krosky-Merritt, Ollie Gordon, and Taj Brooks. So I'm all in on the rookie running backs. 4 of the 5 running backs are rookies. That's called a high risk, high reward team right here, if I've ever seen one. Then our wide receivers: CeeDee Lamb, Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, Deebo Samuel, Jawan Jennings, Adam Thielen, and Andre Yoshivas. And then my tight end room consists of David Njoku, Jake Ferguson, and Cade Otton. I really just went for the game stack. So I'm doing the game stacking here, trying to play the playoff rounds. I was able to get that far. So that's the whole notion of why I made certain picks. I need a third quarterback, and I think I'm going to go a little bit off the board here, and take a guy. So I don't know if I want to. I think I want to take. Joe Flacco is there. I just don't know how many games he's going to start before. What's the point? Cleveland's probably going to be out by halfway through the season. It is what it is. So let's take Dylan Gabriel. I like what I saw. I think he's a poor man's version of Bo Nix. I think he can give you that kind of upside. And I think he will start games. I think I really like Dylan Gabriel. I feel like he will start some of the games come middle of the season. So let's see what we have. He's pretty accurate and just a quick passer. So I think he might fit well into the Stefanski offense. And I have Njoku, so I'm hoping that maybe rookie quarterbacks love their tight ends. So if Dylan Gabriel does take over, he targets the shit out of David Njoku. Like I said, we can't rely on Flacco to start all 17 games. I don't think that's going to happen realistically. There's going to be a point where either Cleveland's out or Joe Flacco tires out. I don't think he can do 17 games. So I think Dylan Gabriel will step in, and so I think he has a better chance of maybe stepping in than Jackson Dart at this point. So I think just kind of hoping for that time to come, and then he steps in. So my quarterback room right now, so I have a team of 3, 5, 7, 3. My quarterback room is Dak Prescott, Tua Tagovailoa, and Dylan Gabriel. My running backs are Josh Jacobs, Travion Henderson, Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt or Bill, Ollie Gordon, and Taj Brooks. Yes, I did take 4 rookie running backs. Hopefully 2 out of the 4 hit, and we're okay. But Taj Brooks is really just as a handcuff for Chase. Ollie Gordon, because he potentially could have he could have a role in the first few weeks. Obviously, Jalen Wright's out. The first couple of games, if HN is okay, worst comes to worst, he's going to be featured in between the tackles. So Ollie Gordon will have a little bit of a role. JCM obviously has a role. We're not sure as to how, to the extent. We still have Chris Rodriguez there. And there's no guarantee that JCM is going to be a huge part, or takes a Brian Robinson role. But let's just hope that that's the case, and let's just jump onto the JCM train. Travion, like I was talking about, I think Travion in the second half of the season will take over and be a top running back for the Patriots, and we will be drafting him in round 1 or 2 next year, guaranteed. And so my wide receiver room is CeeDee Lamb, Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, Deebo Samuel, Juwan Jennings, Adam Thielen, and Yoshi Voss. So Yoshi Voss, I believe, is just a third wide receiver. Kind of helps in my Week 16 game stack against Miami. Adam Thielen, shout out to Fantasy Football Dad, hero, Adam Thielen, who I think will do well in the Minnesota offense. It doesn't hurt. He had some productive games last year when he came back. So is he going to give me crazy games all Week 17? No. But I think until, at least the first 3 games with Addison out, he might be able to give me 1 or 2. So let's see what happens with that. Juwan Jennings is obviously a high risk, high reward pick. Is it contract or calf? Contract or calf? So if it's the calf, then that's a concern, and he might be on the IR and so miss the first 4 games. But if it's contract related, hopefully they can get that figured out this week. And then we have Juwan Jennings, who is easily going to bump up in ADP. So as soon as that news comes up, it's going to be him and Pearsall. The only reason Pearsall is going higher than him right now is because of the fact that Juwan Jennings uncertainty. But if Juwan Jennings signs a contract and everything's good and he's going to play Week 1, and we get that news by this weekend for any reason, or his ADP is just going to jump up to the 60s as well, so we're okay on that one. Deebo, I think, is going to do well. I'm a big Deebo believer this year. I think he's going to be playing in a great offense that knows how to use him. He's a little bit motivated. He has a great quarterback, so I think Deebo's a fine pick, and I think he's going to be a standard in my scoring weeks. Tyreek and Jalen Waddle, obviously very high risk, very high reward. If we get 2023, Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle, that Miami offense, then we are all good. Jalen is looking good in training camp. Tyreek's been kind of in and out of training camp because of an oblique injury. But I think Mike McDaniel said he's all good to go. So if he is good to go, then we might have Tyreek that doesn't get arrested before Week 1 starts. We're probably going to be all happy with him. And then CD, there's not much to say. I picked CD. Like I talked about in the beginning of the podcast, this live, that Dallas lost their best defensive player, so that doesn't help. So that potentially the offense will have to play a little bit harder. My 3 quarterbacks are Dak Prescott. Dak, for that reason, I'm just hoping that he has to throw the shit out of the ball this year, given the defensive struggles. So, Dak's airing it out. He obviously does have the home and away split, so he sucks at when he's not playing at home in the dome. But at least if I can get some of those games, those big home games that he has, if the defense is not that great and they have to put up points, at least he's having to put up with his arm. Tua is the same situation, I think. So obviously one biggest concern with Tua is injury history. He can't get hit in the head. He is like Billy Bob from Varsity Blues, can't get hit in the head anymore. But if he's on and he's playing, he has crazy home away splits. You can check those too. When he's at home, he plays so much more better. And away, he's okay. So if I can get the home and aways lined with Dak and Tua, then we're all good. And then Dylan Gabriel I took as a flyer. Because I had Njoku, so I thought maybe I could create that stack, and I think that Dylan Gabriel will be taking over eventually. I think it's maybe halfway through the season, as soon as Cleveland's probably lost 4 or 5 games out of the 6 or 7. I believe they're going to put him in. Why not? You drafted him. You have Shador, so I think Dylan will get first crack, and I think he's not too bad. Like he's a conservative quarterback. Like I said, a weak man's Bo Nix. From what I've seen, they both played in Oregon. They both played an Oregon offense, so I think that's what you can get with Dylan Gabriel. And I think he's going to do well. So he's one of the sleepers this year for quarterback, picking up 3rd quarterback late in the draft. I think you can't go wrong with him. Then my tight end room consists of David Njoku, Jake Ferguson, Cade Otton. Njoku, just to kind of, I just think he's going to be targeted regardless, whether it be Flacco, whether it be Dylan Gabriel. I think he'll have a good big role in the offense. And then Jake Ferguson, obviously, for the Dak Prescott team stack. And then Kate Otten to kind of create that Tampa Bay Miami Week 17 stack. So that's the team. It's a 3-5-7-3 again. Got sniped on Pickens early when I took Travion. I took Travion, sniped with Pickens. So I took Travion, then took Waddle on the way back. Could have easily taken Pearsall to kind of offset the risk of having all two Miami pass catchers. But like I said, if they're doing well, then we're all good. So that's the team so far. If you are here in the channel, please like and subscribe. Just kind of helps me understand, if this is kind of going anywhere with the fantasy football takes. I do like talking about it, so I'll still be on here regardless of whether or not anyone's watching or not. But it's always fun to kind of interact with people. And if you have any questions, please feel free to drop them in the chat. It doesn't have to be best ball. It doesn't have to be DFS. It could be any of your fantasy football leagues, your redraft leagues. Obviously, a lot of drafts can be happening this week, which is always fun to do. So if you have any questions about about what to do in your first few rounds, let me know, and you can drop those in the chat right now. So let's kind of get back into it, and let's do another one. And I don't mind. Let's do another puppy. So they can't see where I am. That's always fun. Otherwise, we'll hop into DK if Underdog is going to be a little bit wonky. So let's just go into DK. Good old DK is always loading up pretty quick here. Let's do a DK draft. We have some available to us. Did jump into a let's do a chain mover. So 150,000 chain mover, 8 entry max, $10 buy-in. Let's see if we can get on that. Pretty close to being full, so let's see if we can get in here. Only about less than 500 entries left, so a little bit of a wait. We're gonna have to wait here, so we'll wait on that. 2 out of 12 entries, not ideal. That'll be a little bit of a wait, but if you are in this room or in this live, please feel free to leave a comment. Let me know you're here. Give me your best sleeper. Who are you targeting in the last few rounds of your drafts? Drop them in the chat, and let's talk about them. And if you are here, please hit a like and a subscribe. And if you can, a funky animation here to make it look good, look professional. There you go. Look at that. Look at that. Your dad is tech savvy. I don't want to make it seem like I'm really old. I'm not that old, but still a dad. So let's see where we're at here. This draft might be a little bit slow moving. We're like in regards to entrance. So we're at 4. We're getting there. So yeah, if anyone want to talk about the Micah Parsons trade, pretty big trade. It's not every day you see one of the top defensive players getting traded, but it did happen. So for 2 first rounders, so maybe gives Dallas an opportunity to kind of retool. They obviously have the wide receivers, and they got Dak in the long term. So hopefully they take a running back. Let's see what happens if Jaden Blue is not the answer, because Javonte Williams and Miles Sanders are definitely not the answers. So maybe that's a pick there, or maybe you do pick 2 pass rushers next year with that extra first round pick, and then see if you can try to hit goal just like you did with Parsons. So, yeah. Like I said before, the defense is going to be a lot weaker for sure. If you're losing one of the top defensive players in the league, it doesn't really help. But at the same time, it helps your fantasy football team for sure. If you have any Dallas Cowboys on it, the offense is going to have to score quite a bit to keep pace with, given that their defensive struggles might be pretty real. So, like I said, it's not going to be, I guess like it was already under consideration that Dallas will be a fantasy friendly offense, but I think it only gets that aura about them only gets bigger as it given that their defensive struggles might need them to keep pace with other teams. So I think we're almost ready for it. Let's go. One more person. Anyone want to join? Someone join. Need one more person for this draft. We can get started. So if anyone is out there, please feel free to drop your questions in the chat. If you have anything that you want to talk about in regards to fantasy football, if you've already drafted your team, questions about that, or questions about your draft, questions about best ball, anything you want, feel free to drop a question in the chat and we can discuss. And we are ready to go. And we are in the middle of the draft. We are pick number 6. So we're looking at either a Justin Jefferson or McCaffrey or Nico Collins or that kind of area of the ADP. So let's see what happens with that. I do like CMC quite a bit. I think if he's healthy, which he says he is, we don't have the same concerns we did last year, obviously with the injury, because everything about last year at this time was that he has that calf injury, and unfortunately it did take away the number 1 pick overall in most fantasy drafts for majority of the season. So but this year it's clean bill of health. He feels good. He's participating in the camp, and there's no concerns whatsoever. No one's even mentioned a calf or any potential lingering effects of one. So I think we're okay. And we've seen what CMC can do potentially in a 17-game season. If we all know he's going to be healthy, I'm pretty sure his ADP should be 2 or 3. Could give Bijan and Barkley a run for their money. So I think he might just have 1 or 2 good years left. So I'm really a big fan of CMC this year. You don't have Debo anymore siphoning off some carries. Not that like Debo was taking a lot of carries anyways, but just always that risk of Debo siphoning off some carries in the red zone or near the goal line. But that's not there. And their wide receiver room is pretty hurting. It's not the greatest right now when you have players like MVS and Kendrick Bourne, trying to put a bandage on that. We talked about like that Juwan Jennings. We're not sure if it's whether it's contract related or if it really does have a calf injury. So that's another player that could potentially not be in the wide receiver room to begin the season. So we look at Ricky Pearsall, George Kittle, and then maybe CMC. So I think that he could have a really big role if he doesn't already. He already has a big role in the offense, but it's going to be one of those things that if you get CMC and the health is there, you have a great pick. So a little bit of surprise, CeeDee Lamb goes number 2. Kind of seen that before, but not too much. So everyone jumping on that Dallas is going to have to throw a narrative, but that was the case already. But CeeDee Lamb goes number 2. Bijan and then Barkley. I think I'm really going to lean into CMC here over Justin Jefferson, assuming that Gibbs goes. Let's see what happens here. Auto drafter probably. Jahmyr Gibbs goes. So let's take CMC, like I was saying. I am a believer in him. What's the worst can happen? a calf injury, obviously, but if not, we're going to get one of the top 3 players at his position. And as a running back that can do everything, we've seen what he can do at RB1 just a couple of years ago. You get a better schedule this year with San Francisco getting the strength of schedule being the best for them, best schedule in the NFL according to Warren Sharp. And yeah, we already know what CMC has and his role in that 49ers offense. So very comfortable going with him as my 6th pick. So it's not like it's a crazy reach, but like I said, I think if we all knew that CMC was going to give us a 17-game season like any player, like he's pretty much top 4 guaranteed. If you still want to go with Bijan and Saquon, like it's not I can't blame you, but top 4 for sure. So let's look at the draft board, because DK sometimes can be wild, man. Like I said, DK, the jungle of the best ball world. Sometimes you get some wild drafters in here, and shit just hits the fan, and the value falls. But we got Jess Jefferson going right after CMC, Nico, Neighbors, Amon-Ra, Henry, Nakua, BTJ, Genty, Chase Brown, Drake London. So no major surprises. Puka is still kind of going on the second round, end of the first round, as the Stafford news comes in. Brock Bowers goes. So a little bit interesting on this one. There's HN. Let's go with AJ Brown. I don't have much of him. It kind of always either goes earlier than I want. Like when I try to make it a draft, try to get him, he kind of goes early, or sometimes there's some value that falls, and I go after somebody else. So let's go with AJ Brown for the sake of this draft. He's back to practicing, and then obviously there was a concern that he's injured, but I think they're just managing his reps. But you got a really talented wide receiver that, if you know he was all good, it was probably going to go in the first or second round. Obviously the issue with the Philadelphia Eagles is they're a great team, and then they have Saquon and Hurts that can steal touchdowns. But if there's ever a game where they do have to throw to keep up, then AJ Brown's going to feature for sure. Those are the 2 biggest concerns, are health and the biggest concerns are health, and also at the same time, it's the concern about whether the Eagles need to throw in a game. There's always that risk that they don't need to worry about doing that. So we're coming up to pick 30 here. So I'm going to try to see if I can create a Jalen Hurts team here. But let's go on the next one here. We have Mike Evans, JSN are available. Travion is available. We have Kittle, so I think I might try to create a Eagles 49ers stack. I do really like Kittle as well, so I think I might try to go after Kittle. See where I can kind of get some value after that. I can probably try to see if I can swing Hurts in the 4th round. So what I will do is I will try to go for Kittle here a little bit earlier than I'd like. I really like the 49ers, like I was talking about 49ers offense, and let's try to create a 49ers and a Philly stack. So continue on with that, but unfortunately I am hitting that hour mark, and I do have something to do unfortunately today, so I'll try to come back later on tonight, but we'll have to step out early on this one, so apologies. So I'm gonna have to step out on this one. I will share what I did in this draft here if I can in my next show, and I can kind of go through what I did on this draft. But Unfortunately, I'll have to leave a little bit early today. Once again, I just want to thank everybody for joining in. If you did, I just welcome everyone that comes in here. Thank you so much for being a part of this. As your fantasy football dad is creating a little bit of a hype on his channel, and I hope I might have shared some sort of wisdom with you that you could take into your drafts this week. And I just want to wish everyone the best of luck as for your drafts. You're gonna kill it. Make sure you target those Dallas Cowboys. And I am out. Take care and have a great night, everybody.